familiar are you with the Norwegian royal family? They are some of the coolest royals out there, so laid back. They serve. There's a single mom within their family who married a prince, and just so many different things that make this family just very unique and one of the most relaxed in Europe. They just seem to have a great time together, and I think they are very, very close. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do one of my first introductory videos about some of the broader royal families, because we all know about the Brits. We all know about Catherine and William, Charles and Camilla, of course Harry and Meghan, but not many of you people know as much about the foreign royals, because there are royal families throughout Europe, and there are some crazy or as crazy stories about them as there are about Harry and Meghan and the rest of the British royal family as well. And even some connections, some bad connections to a certain friend of Prince Andrew, who was a friend of one of the royals over in Norway, at least for a small period of time. So I think you guys will be surprised and very interested to hear more about this family and its members. But if you guys haven't been here to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany. I provide compelling royal commentary. I also have a weekly newsletter and a fashion channel. So if you guys are interested in any of that, links will be down below. All right, to start off with, I just thought I'd introduce to you who are the members of the Norwegian royal family. They're actually a rather small family compared to some of the others, especially the Brits. I feel like we just have so many British royals. I was looking recently at the line of succession, and there are 60 or so members of the British royal family who have some sort of just even presence within the press. So there are just so many family members there. But the Norwegians, it's actually very, very small. So first we want to start off with, of course, the king himself, and that is King Harald V of Norway. He was born on February 21st, 1937 in Skangum, Akershus, Norway. I pronounced that wrong. And he ascended the throne on January 17th, 1991 with his wife, Sonja Haraldson, who was born on July 4th, 1937. So they are the same age, which is so cute. They have a rather amazing love story which we'll get into here in a little bit. They have two children. So we have Crown Prince Haakon of Norway and his wife, Crown Princess Mette-Marit. They have two children, Princess Ingrid-Alexandra, Her Royal Highness, she will be the future queen, and His Highness Sverre Magnus. That's the best way I could figure out how to pronounce it. So please forgive me if I got his name wrong. And then the king and queen also had a second child, Martha Louise, who is actually a couple of years older than her brother. Her brother will celebrate his 50th birthday this year along with his wife. And so she is a couple of years older, and she has 3 children, Maud, Leah, and Emma. Very, very sadly, her former husband, Ari Ben, did actually end his life in 2018, shortly after their divorce in 2017, which is, of course, horrifically tragic for the family, though she currently has a very, very interesting paramour slash fiance and Derek Verrett has connections with Goop. He's kind of a shaman, faith healer guy, a little sketchy, but they are engaged. But they've been engaged for a while, so I'm sure some people are having their fingers crossed, hoping maybe, just maybe, they don't get married. But she has actually given up some of her rights and her titles back to the crown for getting engaged to him, because he had a particular history of going to hospitals and telling people with cancer that they brought this cancer onto themselves. So there is not a lot of love lost, at least among the public, for her fiance. And then when it comes to rounding out the working members of the family, obviously Princess Martha Louise, none of her daughters are working members of the royal family, but we finally have Princess Astrid, who is the sister of the king. She was basically the de facto First Lady of Norway, acting very much in the place of her mother, who died in 1955, and her father ascended the throne in 1957. So she very much acted for her mother. Her mother was actually quite young, in her 50s, when she passed away. And so Astrid had that role and fulfilled it very, very well. And she continues to fulfill royal duties, even though she has reached the age of 91. So she is quite old, but she still tries to get out and around with them as best as she can. So now that we've introduced all the members, here are about 10 facts that you didn't know about the Norwegian royal family. Number one is that in 1940, Germany invaded the country, so they fled over to neutral Sweden. For a period of time, there's a very close connection between the Swedish and the Norwegian royal families, and so they stayed there for a couple of months before Harald, his two sisters, and his mother all came to the United States. So they lived here until the end of the war. They lived in the Washington, D.C. area. Meanwhile, his grandfather, who was king, and his father, the crown prince, both stayed in London to be close to their country. Interesting fact number two, which we covered a bit already, is that Crown Prince Olaf, when he inherited the throne, his wife had sadly already passed away. And so, came to his public image, he relied a lot on his daughter, Princess Astrid. And she's still deeply involved in a charity based on her mother. So that was something that she was very passionate about and very much worked towards. Interesting thing to note, number three, is that when it came to the marriage of then Crown Prince Harald and Sonja, that was actually a bit of a tough go-round because the king was not interested in his son marrying a commoner. He thought that the public wouldn't approve, and he was worried about the government and everything like that. So the couple actually dated for 9 years. And I believe even part of that time they lived together, which was, it's in the 60s. So that was, things were changing a bit, but that was still rather taboo for a very, very conservative world, which the royals were. The king kept trying to throw out other women, royal women that perhaps Harald could date. And it got to the point where Harald said, because he was actually the only heir at the time, he told his father, if I can't marry Sonja, I ain't marrying at all. So the king was like, fine. And as it turned out, nobody really cared. They were all very, very excited for Queen Sonja, and they've been married ever since. And they are very, very close. And I think they are just darling and sweet together. An interesting point number four, which is that Crown Prince Haakon is very much carried on with his parents' tradition of marrying a woman that perhaps son could consider not appropriate for his role, but in a very different way. And there was actually a rather negative reaction to her marriage. And that is surrounding the life of Mette-Marit, his wife. So before they got married, she was very, very heavy into partying. And she had relationships with drug dealers, convicted drug dealers, felons. And so she had a very, you could say, checkered past. It was actually quite sad. I was reading up a bit about it, that her parents had gotten divorced when she was quite young. His father then ended up marrying a professional stripper. And so I think she had perhaps maybe a bit of a rough upbringing, and she had also not completed higher education. So there was a lot of pushback against that. A lot of people were not very excited about this relationship, especially, actually, believe it or not, it was the education portion that was perhaps the most concerning to some. They didn't think she had the background, the influence to be really a crown princess. And Haakon and Mette-Marit pushed through that, and I think they have been obviously a very, very good love match. There's still some talk in certain circles that Mette-Marit still doesn't work quite as much as they think she should. But I think it is great to see that they are really still exceptionally, exceptionally close. And I think they really are a true love match. And the other thing about Mette-Marit, which worried people, and this is point number 5, is that she was a single mother when she married Haakon. She actually had one son who was 2 at the time. And so a single mother marrying a prince, especially a commoner single mother. Now, if you had been royal, that wasn't out of the question. Although oftentimes, especially perhaps in the Middle Ages, Renaissance, oftentimes the children would perhaps stay with the father because they were going to inherit that particular throne. This happened with Eleanor of Aquitaine. She had 2 children with the King of France, and when she left him, the kids stayed with the king, and she went off and married who ended up being the King of England, Henry II. So it was very interesting to see her on their wedding day. She actually held him in her arms when they were waving off the balcony. Just a very, very different picture than what we normally see. And what's really cool about him as well is that he has grown up a bit in the public eye because he has been included. But in about 2017, once he became an adult, he was like, you know what? I don't want this public life. This is what my mom has. This is what my sister and brother have. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in it. And so they actually removed some biographical information from their website that they had on there for him because he was like, I'm at the age now where I don't really want to be part of this. I don't want this public life. And I say bravo for him. feel like that's what Harry and Meghan should have done. Said, you know what? I don't want part of this royal thing, so I'm going to take a step back. Don't say anything about me. I won't really go to any official public events. He's actually a very handsome lad, but he did go to his sister's birthday dinner. And so moving on, we'll go to point number 6, which is about Ingrid-Alexandra and her 18th birthday. She got quite the 18th birthday bash. I don't remember tiaras being at my 18th birthday party, but they were for hers. So she got basically most of Europe to come out for her 18th birthday. She obviously has a couple of her godparents who are royals as well, including Crown Princess Victoria. And so she had a grand dinner that all the royals came to, and she gave a speech and gave a very special recognition to both of her brothers. So go ahead and take a listen to a little bit of this here.
Marius, takk for alt jeg har lært deg, og for at vi kan snakke sammen om alt. Takk for at du alltid beskytter meg. Magnus, du alltid snill med meg når jeg trenger det. Takk for at du pleier å gi meg en god klem når jeg har en litt ekstra tøff dag. Jeg så stolt av å ha dere som brødre.
So I thought that was quite sweet. She is obviously very close to her family, and she will one day be the Queen of Norway. Point number 7, which is rather interesting, is that the Norwegian royals are actually the highest royals in Europe that are up on the British line of succession, except for obviously the Brits. They are highest in the line of succession of foreign royals for the British monarchy. Harold occupies about the 85th, 86th spot from what I could tell. I was looking up in Tatler. And then obviously his family occupies the next couple of spaces behind him. So I just thought that was really interesting. Some of the other royals who I thought might be higher were actually quite low on the line of succession.
So their connection comes through Queen Maud, and she was a daughter of King Edward VII, who happened to be Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's great-grandfather. So that would be the great-great-grandfather of King Charles and the great-great-great-grandfather of Prince William.
Number 8 is that Crown Princess Mette-Marit, not only was she controversial when she married her husband, but she actually had a bit of controversy after as well. And so she was friendly at one point with Jeffrey Epstein. She had met with him several times. Crown Prince Haakon had met with him at least once as well. And so she had to release a statement talking about how that she didn't really understand his full background when she had met him, and that she is actually distancing herself from him. And sad thing about Crown Princess Mette-Marit as well is sometimes she gets into a bit of controversy because there's questions about how much she works, but she actually does have quite a bit of health issues. One of them is chronic pulmonary fibrosis, and so this is a condition that could potentially limit her life, and so it makes it so that her lungs becomes more and more difficult to breathe, but she's quite active, so hopefully she can continue to make fantastic progress with the disease, and so wishing her all the best there. All right, number 9 is that the Norwegians like to have a bit of fun. And other royals in Europe, unlike the Brits, like to invite the cameras into special events. So for King Harald's 80th birthday, we got this fantastic skit with Crown Prince Haakon acting like his father, his sister, Princess Martha Louise, acting like their mother, and then Crown Princess Mette-Marit acting like their aunt, Princess Astrid. So go ahead and take a little bit of a watch here.
Tatt opp på film også, tror jeg. Og Haakon som barbert av seg skjegget, han ikke igjen, så hvem det?
Dronning Sonja da, hva du god på?
Altså, forberedelser jeg sykt god på.
Og kronprins helt festlig.
Nei, du vet, jeg elsker å fortelle familiehistorier, og det hele familien veldig glad for.
Og det setter alle pris på.
Alle setter veldig stor pris på det.
Ja, det vet jeg at familien setter stor pris på.
I just think that's so unbelievably fun of them to do. I wish I could understand Norwegian to understand what they're saying in reaction to it, but I just thought that is so fun, something we don't see from the Brits at all. I would love to see something like that, you know, Catherine and William mimicking Charles and Camilla. I think that would be just so unbelievably fun. And then there was an additional bit too with the kids. So we'll start here with Sir Magnus' question to Crown Princess Victoria.
Da tror jeg rett og slett vi setter over til reporterne våre ute i Europa. Lea Magnus, hvordan stemningen i Sverige?
Her stemningen helt topp, Ingrid, og vi har med oss kronprinsesse Victoria. Hvorfor kan ikke svenskene gå fortere på ski?
Men du Magnus, så, ja men ganska bra det i alla fall.
All right, and then we'll move on to Crown Prince Frederick. They had a funny question for him about what he preferred between Norway and Denmark.
Ja, Maud og Emma, dere har fått med dere selveste kronprins Fredrik av Danmark til en liten prat.
Ja, det har vi. Fredrik, hva synes du det beste med bestemor og bestefar?
Jamen, jeg synes, vi har det altid enormt hyggeligt sammen. Og jeg synes, vi griner meget sammen, når vi ses.
Ja, før vi avslutter skal vi gi en liten quiz, Fredrik. Dejlig norsk laks eller rød pølse fra Danmark?
Og så bliver det en rød pølse.
All right, and finally, we got them asking a question of Princess Beatrix. And you'll notice that this question is actually in English, and that is because English is kind of the common language between the royal houses in Europe. So go ahead and take a listen here.
Lovely today. What have you done?
look so fabulous tonight.
Your Royal Highness, you look absolutely stunning tonight. Are you enjoying yourself?
Very much. Thank you so much for the compliment. I don't think I quite deserved it, but it's very sweet of you. Thank you.
I just think that's so cute. I love that they did all those things. I think they are so, so fun. And final note we'll end on, if you don't notice, about not only the Norwegian royal family, but Norway in general, is that they have a birthday dance. There is a birthday dance you do in Norway. And what's so cute is that they do it for King Harald's 80th birthday on the balcony. The rest of the royals, they start acting it out, even though they're singing it to him and perhaps it's not considered maybe appropriate for royals to do it. They go ahead and do it. So take a watch of this little bit here. And the first time I became aware of the Norwegian birthday dance was at the birthday dinner of Princess Ingrid-Alexandra of Norway. So they did it there too. So go ahead and take a watch of a little bit of that video there. All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed it. In addition to the things I discussed, a lot of the members also like surfing, which if you can imagine in Norway, that is quite cold. They're also very much outdoorsy. They have a great relationship with the Swedes, especially. Crown Princess Mette-Marit talked about how she really appreciated that Crown Princess Victoria could be a great example to her daughters. They have this fantastic bond, and so great to see all these families being so close. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video and came away learning a little bit more about the Norwegian royal family. So much more of them to come. I'm hoping to get to Norway sometime maybe within the next year or two, but I will be going to Sweden this year and hopefully seeing a whole lot of royals at the King's Golden Jubilee. I cannot wait. So guys, thank you so much for watching and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.